Terrible, Simon. Terrible from right from the start. One team looked organised defensively and in sync going forward, and that was Hearts. Rangers at home failed to lay a glove on Hearts, and topped off with the Hearts fans singing "You're getting sacked in the morning," and Rangers fans joined in with it. That's how bad it was. I don't see any way back from this for Russell Martin.
Kris Boyd said there was no way back for Russell Martin after the 2-0 defeat against Hearts, and now he's doubled down, claiming that Russell Martin is doomed as Rangers manager. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. So Kris Boyd has been a busy man. He was at Ibrox reporting on the Hearts-Rangers game for Sky Sports, where he said he doesn't think there's any way back for Russell Martin, and I'll show that clip in a minute. But after that, since then, he's been on The Sun, Go Ballistic, and he has said that Rangers manager Russell Martin is doomed. So Kris Boyd here, not holding back, said the fans have had enough, time is up for Martin, and that Russell Martin is doomed. And we know that Kris Boyd, he's had to suffer a lot of shite as a follower of Rangers, as a supporter, as a fan of Rangers. He's seen some bad managers over the years, but I don't think he's seen anybody as bad as Russell Martin. And I think Kris Boyd has had enough. We've heard Ali McCoy's come out as well. Looks like not only is Russell Martin losing, or should I say, doesn't look like Russell Martin has only lost the fans, but he might have also lost a lot of Rangers legends as well. So we'll show the clip here from Kris Boyd after the match reporting for Sky Sports. Then after that, we're going to dive into his interview with The Sun, Go Ballistic, where he's pretty much went ballistic and said that Russell Martin is doomed as the Rangers manager, which, based on results, based on performances, based on the fact that it started with 50,000 fans in Ibrox, pretty much telling Martin to get to fuck, and it ended with pretty much nobody but Hearts fans in Ibrox come the end of the 90 minutes. I think that Russell Martin's time could be done. If you lose the fans, then normally you don't last much longer after that. But with that said, let's get into what Russell Martin, or should I say, let's get into what Kris Boyd, who don't want to hear what Russell Martin's got to say. He's full of the same old shitey excuses after every single game. Let's get into what Kris Boyd said after the 2-0 defeat against Hearts.
A little hint of a smirk on the face of Boydie. I mean, miserable times. We heard the boos every time we went to Gordon Duncan this afternoon. Just how bad was it this afternoon, Boydie?
Terrible, Simon. Terrible from right from the start. One team looked organised defensively and in sync going forward, and that was Hearts. Rangers at home failed to lay a glove on Hearts, and topped off with the Hearts fans singing "You're getting sacked in the morning," and Rangers fans joined in with it. That's how bad it was. I don't see any way back from this for Russell Martin. You can cut new managers some slack if you can see slight improvement game to game, but it's actually going the other way. It's getting worse for Rangers. No wins in 5, sitting 10th in the league, and it's pretty embarrassing to say the least.
Christopher, how are you, mate? We miss you, but I know you're not happy. But talk to me. No, all jokes aside, I'm going to be serious with you.
No, he's not.
I am going to be serious. Yeah, you said about Russell Martin. It seems like the hierarchy. The fans have not been having him for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and they're still stuck with him. Do you think this will be that will be it now? This will be the final straw?
Yeah, I mean, Clinton, when you listen to Rangers fans, the way that they're they were singing all afternoon, wanting the manager away. They've vented their frustration. It's been like that. A lot of them didn't want Russell Martin in the first place. I think you need to allow, a new manager to come in and at least bed in his ideas. But as I said a minute ago, if there's no sign of improvement, it's not going to happen. And looking at it right now, there's only one thing going to happen. I don't know if the Rangers hierarchy were at the game today, but as I said, once the fans turn, it's virtually impossible to get them back round. They've had enough. A lot of them left their seats early, and no wonder, because if I was paying to watch that, I'd have been away as well.
Boydie, I mean, you'll know this already, but it's equal their worst ever league start. You have to go back to 78-79 for the last time Rangers failed to win their opening 5 league games of a season. Is it just down to Russell Martin that they're this bad? Surely the players have to shoulder some of the responsibility for such a poor start.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that players have to shoulder some responsibility. Simon, they're the ones once they cross the white line that they've got to go in. But as I said, they look devoid of ideas. You've signed Miofsky, who, when you go back to his time at Aberdeen, looked scoring every time that Aberdeen played a game. I think he had probably 2 touches of the ball today. Didn't create anything. You can see, I think there was 6 new signings in the starting lineup. Chopping and changing. Russell Martin doesn't know his strongest 11 right now. There's been a lot of change. I get that, but as I said, if you can see slight improvement, you'd maybe stick by it. But right now, it's a total opposite. Players just look all over the place, and you can only judge. Hearts have made a lot of signings in the summer as well. Derek McInnes came here today, done a job at Rangers, and sometimes, in Scotland, and I know it wasn't before with Derek McInnes, it was overlooked for the Rangers job, but sometimes it's better just to look closer to home, because we've got talented coaches in the Scottish League that can come and do a job, and Derek McInnes definitely done that today.
Boydie, Merce, you're right, mate.
How you doing?
Good, mate. You talk about Rangers and all that. How good are Hearts? Have they got a chance this season? Could they finish above Rangers in second or even push Celtic?
Well, I think they're 9 points ahead of Rangers now. Started the season really well. There's a lot of optimism about with Tony Bloom taking over, and I know a lot of people scoffed at Tony Bloom when he turned round and said that that he fancies their chances inside a few years. It'd be hard to bet against them right now. Obviously, Celtic have got their own issues, but they've started the season on the pitch reasonably well. Celtic, played 4 games, unbeaten, 3 victories and that. They go to Kilmarnock tomorrow, and you'd expect them to go there and get a victory as well. A lot of Celtic's problems have been off-field, but on the field they've actually been okay domestically so far. So for Hearts, there is no doubt that in time, Tony Bloom, Derek McInnes will feel as if they can challenge. It's very difficult to say at this moment in time, but right now they're sitting top of the league and they look as if they're a well-organised team defensively. Halkett, Finlay, defensively strong, and going forward they looked as if they were a unit that could score any time they went forward. And I think when you've got a goal scorer, Merce, you know how important they are. Lawrence Shankland with a double today, led the line superbly, and again somebody who was deemed not good enough to come to Ibrox.
Boydie, we're going to have to leave it there. By the way, Clinton's promised to text you later just to cheer you up a little bit. I'm sure it'll work a treat.
My phone's off. My phone's off.
See you soon, Boydie. Thanks ever so much.
Alright, so there you go. Pretty scathing review from Kris Boyd, but telling it how it is. Rangers were pretty terrible from the start. Only one team looked like they were going to win that game, and it was Hearts. And he went on to say that he believes that Hearts can actually challenge, or at least split, the Old Firm. He believes that Hearts can finish second. And to be fair to Kris Boyd, he was one of the only guys that did not ridicule and did not mock Tony Bloom. When Tony Bloom came out and talked about Hearts winning the league and Hearts challenging, and Tony Bloom said this season, before a ball was kicked, he said he believes that Hearts can at least finish second. And Kris Boyd actually did come out and he backed Tony Bloom, and he said it was ignorance from everyone else in Scottish football simply just to write off Hearts. Tony Bloom's got a great track record, what he's done with Union St Gelossi and Brighton. So, respect to Kris Boyd. Maybe he's called this before anyone else. He did say that he believes that Tony Bloom possibly could be right about Hearts finishing second. And now, with this defeat for Rangers, I think you can make the case that Hearts are favourites to finish second. They're second favourites to win the title. The bookmakers, every bookmaker has declared Hearts second favourites for the championship. So why can't they finish second based on that? But yeah, a lot of fans didn't want Russell Martin in the first place. Kris Boyd made that pretty clear. And after 5 league games without a win, sitting 10th in the league table, being knocked out the Champions League, and signing a bunch of duds, despite getting a lot of money, if Russell Martin, if the fans had no faith in this guy before he arrived at Rangers, then how can you expect them to have any faith in this guy now? I mean, his reputation for Rangers fans, it was a low percentage to begin with, and it's only plummeted since he came in, and he has been absolutely awful. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, let's talk about Kris Boyd and his latest interview with Go Ballistic on the Scottish Sun. And Kris Boyd believes that Russell Martin is doomed as Rangers boss, despite being backed by Andrew Kavanagh. So Kris Boyd doesn't think it matters. He doesn't think the board is really going to buy Russell Martin anytime. He thinks that Martin's time is up. And this is what Kris Boyd told Sun Sports Go Ballistic. He said, quote, "The Rangers fans have made it clear they've had enough. Russell touched on the fact that many fans didn't want him to be here in the first place, but even if you're not wanted, you can convince them. You can win games and get things going in the right direction. But it's the opposite. Right now, there's only one thing going to happen. Russell Martin will have to be relieved of his duties because it's not going away. I don't think the way Rangers fans are towards the manager is going to go away. They've made the feelings clear. When you have 50,000 people at Ibrox all singing 'Sacked in the Morning' along with other chants, it's nasty, and I can only see one outcome." End of quote. And I agree with Kris Boyd. I mean, Martin, he wasn't the number 1 pick. He wasn't the number 2 pick. I mean, he probably was the number 3 pick by default because it didn't look like there was any more than 3 people that were in the running for the job. But I would imagine that if there was 4 or 5 or 6 people that were in contention to get the Rangers job, then Russell Martin probably would have been last out of them all. But since he's come in, it's only went backwards, you know, and I think the Rangers fans kind of did appreciate his honesty after the Motherwell game, but they probably thought that was going to be a one-off. Oh, we've dropped points opening day, but at least the managers came out and he's called out players, because when he called out players after that Motherwell game, the Rangers fans were happy, they were backing Martin, but since then it's just been excuse after excuse after excuse, and maybe they've realised that, here, instead of throwing the players under the bus, maybe Martin needs to throw himself under the bus. But Boyd then came out and said he can understand why the board are reluctant to pull the trigger on Russell Martin, and he put it down to such a huge summer rebuild, a lot of money being spent, and it does make a bit of sense, because when you give a manager all that money, he's brought in his own players. If you replace him, a new manager might not like these players, and before you know it, you could have just went and wasted 20 million, and teams in Scotland can't afford to waste that kind of money. Anyway, that's what Kris Boyd said regarding the reluctance to sack Russell Martin. He said, quote, "It's maybe a case of the owners sticking to their guns and hoping that it's going to work. They don't want to put their hands up and admit they got it wrong. When you take over a club, you know there will be bumps in the road. But I don't think anyone at Rangers would have envisioned this would be the start to the season. They would potentially be looking at the removal of another manager so early. That's where it's at. At the start, I thought Martin would be a good appointment. I need to hold my hands up. It's not been great." End of quote. I mean, to say it's not been great, had to almost chuckle there. That is an understatement. It's been fucking bogging. It's been absolutely shite. He then went on to talk about some more of the signings that Rangers have made, and he says, quote, "The emotions, managing anxiety, psychological. I can understand Russell Martin speaking about the anxiety and the nerves, but you have to find a way to overcome that. You have to show character as Rangers players, and that's not all on the manager. Since losing to Queen's Park in February, they have played 16 home games and won 5. It's absolutely ridiculous. Back when I played, there was a real fear factor for the teams going to Ibrox. You would talk about trying to silence the crowd in the first 10 minutes, but you don't need to do that now. You just turn up and play a game of football and beat them. Rangers have absolutely nothing about them. There are good players, and they have shown that, but they need to show more courage. I feel bad singling out a young boy, but I looked at Mikey Moore going over to take corner kicks on Saturday. For me, it's the last thing he wanted to do. There were rumblings and people were on him. I go back to my time when we had people like Charlie Adam, who wasn't always in the team. He would have swaggered over there saying, 'This is my chance to put the ball in someone's head for a goal.' Rangers look nervous in everything they are doing, and even now taking throw-ins. The fans have had enough, and the manager is getting it just now. But there will come a time when they forget him and say he's finished, and it's Patrick Stewart and Kevin Felwell who are getting it. There is a tipping point, but for me, it's already spilled over. The fans have had enough." End of quote. So, Kris Boyd ending it with, he believes it's too late, at least for Martin. Maybe there's a chance for the board to, save their reputation and get back in the good graces, the good books of the fans. I'm sure if the board came out and they fired Martin, then that would buy them some time. That would get them back in the good books, the good graces. But right now, I think Boyd's right. I think that Martin's done. I don't think that Martin can turn this around. I don't think the fans are going to take to Martin. He would need to. I think he would need to go on a spectacular run. I think Martin would need to win like 10, 15 games in a row for the fans to get back on the Martin train, and I just don't see that happening. But the fans ain't going to all of a sudden start giving Martin a chance. Even if they beat Hibs and they then beat Livingston and pick up their first league win, that's not enough. A couple of games isn't going to turn this around. I think for Martin to somehow save his position, he's going to need to put together some run of form. And he can't even win one game at the moment in the league, never mind win a bunch. So yeah, I personally don't see it happening. I think Martin will lose against Hibs, and at that point I wouldn't be surprised if that gets him the sack. Even though it's the cup, I just think if he goes out the cup, then that's one less trophy Rangers can win. They're probably already out of the league contention, I would imagine. 9 points behind. Even though Celtic don't look good, I don't think Rangers are going to overturn that. I don't even think Rangers are going to catch Hearts at the moment, never mind catch Celtic. So there's that. And then Europe, realistically, they ain't going to do anything in that either. So yeah, I think if they lose to Hibs, then we could see the end of Russell Martin. But as far as Kris Boyd's concerned, it's already done. It's already over. And the decision has been made pretty much by the fans. And now the board just need to step up and they need to tell Russell Martin that his services are no longer required in Govan. Anyway, guys, that is it. That's where we're going to end it there. Kris Boyd, he says Russell Martin's doomed. I tend to agree. I think it's all over for Russell Martin. Maybe he can just retire and, I don't know, play Football Manager, eat your wee feek and sausage rolls, have a cup of tea. Football Manager 2026 coming out soon. Looks pretty good. Unfortunately, though, you need a good laptop or PC to play it, so I'm probably going to have to upgrade mine. But yeah, that might be Russell Martin's future, because I don't think he's going to be the Rangers manager much longer. Anyway, guys, that is it for Fog Football. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to support the channel, there is some membership options. Now, there's no videos in these membership options yet, but there will be, okay? There will be. Just be patient the next week or two. Big Stevie Cool, currently out the country, don't even know where he is, probably drowning his sorrows. Hopefully he can return one day and he doesn't let this whole Rangers thing get to him, but I think he'll be back maybe at some point. I don't know, but what I do know is, Russell Martin, your time is up, man. The sands of time are running out. They're trickling down. We're getting to like the last grain of sand here, and Russell Martin, he's got to go. He's got to go. Anyway, guys, that's it. Catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.